Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 29th Sedona International Film Festival. I'm your host, Carol Kahn. We are coming to you live from Yavapai College, who's one of our sponsors, along with Northern Arizona Healthcare, Golden Sign Gallery, and the City of Sedona. So thank you to our sponsors. And joining me now is Paige with your film.
Hi, my film is Powers. My name is Paige Morrow Kimball. Three names.
Three names.
Not just one. Three.
Well, we like it. Always better than one.
Of course.
Is this your first time in Sedona?
No, I have been here before. I was here with my husband and kids a few years ago. We had a great time. So I was so excited when we got accepted to Sedona International. I was like, I'm in.
Awesome.
Can't wait. Yes.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
And I did get a chance to see your film.
Oh, great.
And I loved it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
tell
so
me.
much for watching it.
Yeah, tell me about the artist and how did you find her?
Sure. Well, it's a short documentary, first of all. And what you may not know is that I shot it completely on my iPhone.
Yes.
Which is, people are like, what? You shot that on your iPhone? And I did because it was during the pandemic. So I have two teenage girls, and at the pandemic, we were all stuck at home. So I win, everybody. Yeah, it was fun. To stay sane, I started taking these long walks in my neighborhood and looking for any messages of positivity, really. And I started photographing them on my Instagram and just kind of trying to keep myself positive during that tough time. And I stumbled across these repurposed trash sculptures that you saw in the film, and they were high up in the telephone poles in my neighborhood, which is Mar Vista. It's sort of near Venice. And they had these messages like be loved, laugh often, big hugs. And I was like, who makes these beautiful sculptures out of trash? They were, whimsical, repurposed trash and in bright colors. And I went home to research. I couldn't find anything about this artist. Nobody knew, except other people had the same question. And so one day on one of my routes, one of my long walks, I stumbled upon this house, brightly colored house. There was a sculpture in the front yard that looked similar, and this woman walked out right at that moment. And I said, excuse me, are you the artist who does the telephone pole sculptures? And she said, why, yes, but don't tell anybody. And I thought, who are you and what is your story? And what followed was me following her for a year and a half with my iPhone, just me and her in her outdoor studio. I told her I was a filmmaker. I do lots of films for Sesame Street, and I've been at this for a few years, and I'd love to do a segment or a film. And she agreed, and I never expected what followed. What was supposed to be just a small segment to give to this wonderful human turned out to be just more than I could have ever imagined. It's done really well.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have some questions.
Sure.
So we do have a trailer,
Okay.
so let's show that,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk more.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Who is this artist? Does anyone know who the artist is that makes these fun, whimsical metal sculptures that are attached to telephone poles along Palms Boulevard? Yes, they are delightful, but probably the reason the artist is anonymous is because it's illegal to post anything on public utilities. So maybe anonymous is best. Maybe.
Thank you for playing that.
It's so delightful, and it was so much fun watching her enjoy what she does.
And she does. I mean, and that's the thing about Lori. Her name is Lori Powers. So Powers, the title, is her last name. And it also speaks to the film on many levels because it's really about using your superpowers to spread joy. And she really just wants to spread joy with her art. She doesn't sell the sculptures. She feels like if she sells them, the minute she does, they're going to disappear. People will take them off the poles. And she just wants to uplift her community. And she came into this very late in life. She came in her 50s. She wasn't an artist before. She was in the corporate world for 30 years. So for her to come out as an artist during the filming was really absolutely astounding to watch.
Now, I do have a question
Yeah.
because putting anything on a telephone pole is illegal, like she said.
Shh.
Oh, sorry.
But it is, yes. Yes.
And how are they still there?
Okay, that's such a great question. And I think that's why she disguises herself. That's why she was sort of on the DL for a while. The community, for the most part, so embraces and loves them. They watch out for them. There was a period where they were replacing all the telephone poles in the community, and you didn't hear me say this, but the telephone pole workers would replace the pole, take the sculpture off the old poles, and put them back up on the new poles. And it was like, we were like, what? I mean, there's so much love around these characters, and she feels like almost like they're her children out there in the world doing good, reminding us, slow down, hug your children, laugh, live, spread joy. Yeah.
Now, how many sculptures are actually around? Did you count them?
Yes. At one time, I knew there were 15. And I think she's grown. I think she's done more. And she does some other projects as well. She did some projects with wheels. She did some basketball hoops during the time we were filming. But of the characters, there were 15 at the time, and I think that's grown probably to 20 at this point. And she refurbishes them. She makes sure that the paint stays fresh and that they're
really
dusted
cute.
of cobwebs, and she makes new ones all the time. It's really it's so delightful to watch.
Well, and I think what's interesting is that the film kind of goes through, like, you learn a little bit more about
Yes.
her, about her children,
Yes.
about her life. So it actually is a story about the art, but it's also a story about her life, which is
Yes.
pretty cool. So what was your takeaway? And first of all, meeting this phantom person and then following her for as long as you have, what was your takeaway from it?
I love that we're in Sedona because you guys get it, right?
Yeah.
It was almost like a spiritual journey for me, because everything that happened was like almost like it was meant to be. I mean, the fact that she came out of her house at that exact moment, the fact that that morning she told herself, whoever asks me to do something today, I'm going to say yes. The fact that she opened up to me, that we became sort of friends. We got each other through this very hard time, right? With so much transition in COVID for all of us, and we had to sort of find our way. She was my lifeline as much as I was hers. So we'd look forward to this visit. And I think, it was just a real awakening, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was making a film. And when she started revealing, speaking to your point about her backstory, when she started opening up in that way, and that was kind of far into filming of that year and a half, when she told me about her dad and told me about how she grew up, I realized at that moment, this is a film. This is really something that speaks to taking your past and turning it around, even when it's hard, into something positive. And not everybody can do that. This person, this artist, this really special human being, Lori Powers, she really took what she was handed and she flipped it around to spread light. She really did turn darkness around. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you have a very varied career in
Yes.
television, and
Yes.
it's amazing to see. And you took a risk doing it on your iPhone.
Yes, I really did. I had no idea. But you saw it today. Did you see it projected at the theater, or had you seen it another time?
No, I'm sorry.
My film, yeah.
Oh, I watched it. I watched it
Previously.
last night.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I watched it again, and every time I see it in a theater on a huge screen, I'm amazed how much it holds up. I mean, these iPhones today, these contraptions, these phones can do so much. They shoot in 4K. The one thing you do need is a mic. You need a good mic, and I learned that the hard way. I think I learned everything the hard way. As I started realizing, oh my gosh, this is a film, I kind of, gathered more gear. I bought more gear. I bought a microphone. I bought a cool slider that I think you saw in the trailer. Mm-hmm. It kind of goes behind the paintbrushes and shoots stop motion. I played with some lenses. I experimented a lot. And I think part of the beauty of this film is that it's shot on an iPhone, because it's so organic. And I think if I had a crew with me, which I usually shoot with, mm-hmm. she would not have opened up in the way she did. So there's something super intimate, because if you're holding your phone here and we're just talking, you're going to open up to me because you're so used to phones, right? And that I think was a secret weapon, really, in the film, that it was so easy to bond and just the two of us intimately talking.
Do you think you'll be doing more iPhone films?
You know, I'm so glad you asked, because yes, I'm considering doing another one because I think there is something really special and unique about it. And they shoot beautifully. You can move around. You can do it by yourself. Anybody can do it. You just have to have that idea and passion. And I always say, you know, documentary, time is good for documentary. Time is not good for narrative filmmaking. But when you have documentary and you have time, you really can find your way through the story and to the story. And then I also edited, which was really nice because she was just down the street, so I would edit, go, okay, what else should we shoot that would really, or what do we need to redo, you know, that we didn't quite get. So all through the way I sort of felt my way through. Yeah, and having the iPhone, I didn't have to hire the crew and the sound person and the, you know, so I like to say it's an all-female crew of one. Yay! Actually, I'm the director. Here's the T-shirt. Yes, she's the director.
Awesome. And did your kids get involved in all?
That's great. Yes, they were home, and my daughters, especially the older one, she's very interested in filmmaking. My daughter Susanna, she came and just kind of helped out. She'd shoot a little bit of B-cam and just were so interested in what Lori was doing and wanted to learn. You know, the nice thing about Lori too is, like, if you come to LA. You can go on the tour. These are all up and down Palms Boulevard, and then she'll invite you to her studio, her outdoor studio, and it's this magical world, which you see in the film, but being there is really special.
Is she holding classes? Because I sort of got that impression that she was inviting people over to her studio.
You know, in not a formal way yet that I know of, but she does mentor a lot of the artists in the neighborhood, and they didn't have studios, and she had this great outdoor space. Like during COVID, they didn't have studios, right? Because a lot of those were indoors. Hers is outdoors. It's all covered with a tarp, and so she would invite all these artists from the neighborhood, and so it became kind of this center, this artist center. And I think in her way, she does teach them. She also loves to make art with ordinary people, like who don't make, you know, who aren't considering themselves artists, but they often come and surround her. She has really an open door. It's really cool. I just did another film with her, actually, that she stars in. She stars in a Sesame Street film that I directed. I pitched it to Sesame Street, and it's about a little boy who goes and visits this artist with his auntie, and it's called R's for Reuse. It's a letter film that teaches the letter R, and they go and visit Miss Lori, and we shot it at her studio, and it was great. She was like a deer in headlights with all the equipment around and all the people, and yeah, it was really fun. It's going to air, I think, in May on HBO.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's a big transition from being with you with one camera.
I think I forgot to explain to her, so she was a little nervous. I was like, oh, I don't think I told you. This is the way I normally do it. But she was great. Yeah, the film's adorable.
And you've done some amazing things in your career. So you've worked with Oprah.
I've worked for Oprah. I did a lot of her interviews. Yeah, and I loved that. I never met her, which I'm so bummed about. I'd love to meet her so much. She's such an inspiration. Yes, I worked on Olympic documentaries. I also did a lot of narrative, and I was a TV producer for many years. So, I've sort of run the gamut. I'm also an actor. I love to act and direct. I love both sides of the camera and playing in both of those worlds. I do think each one informs the other.
Yeah. And how would you say that this particular film and the way that it was filmed changed you?
That's such a great question. This is why they say you're good. All the filmmakers rave about you. And this is why, because you ask very provocative questions. I think it changed me on many levels. First of all, I think the approach of shooting all the photos in the space organically and using her art to tell the story of her past was a real shift for me as an artist, because it's not always right in front of your face. You don't always see it, but it sort of is. You know, once you open your mind to what is the story, what is the theme, then you find your way. And so that, I think, finding a friend of mine who sort of, like, you know, you gather your friends around, and he advised me. He thought, you don't really need to spend the money on animation. You have it right there, you know, put the photos organically, and it just became kind of one of the themes. And then changed me as a person. I just think, you know, look, I stepped into a puddle that turned out to be a lake. This film went on to win 9 awards. It's played at 22 festivals. I always say, you know, and I really had this experience, that if you put your heart into something and you release the result, and you just say, I just want to spread joy in the world, or I just want as many people to see this as possible, or I just want this to be a gift, so many wonderful things happen. If you just stick with who you are and what's meaningful to you, that's what I learned, that anything is possible.
That's beautiful. And the other thing too is, I think what happens when you work with someone or you interview someone or you're talking with them, it's that trust, right?
Yes.
It's the minute that you get that trust, it could take 15 minutes, it could take a couple of days, it could take whatever it is, and you working with her, what ends up happening is that she felt perfectly comfortable with you to tell you her whole story.
Yeah, and then to allow me to share it with the world.
Yes.
That was big for her. She did not want that at first. She was a little bit, obviously concerned. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know what the outcome would be. For her, it was very much a leap of faith, as much as it was for me. And then at the end, when I showed it to her, she was blown away. She was so proud. And I think she loves that her kids are in it. And it's really her and her 2 kids telling the story is really, I think this film has made her a more trusting person as well. And I think she's really proud. She's grown into her own as an artist as well as a person. I really do. I think she's come out on both levels.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I think your daughter has a great role model.
Oh, I have 2 daughters. I have 2 teenage girls. Yeah, thank you.
They both.
Both of them. That's what my film company is it's Mackenzie and Susanna. It's Macazan Films, named for them.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
thank
We could do a
you.
shout out.
Yay. Hi, Susanna and Mackenzie. I love you.
So tell everybody how they can find out about your film.
Okay. Well, they can go to my website, which is macazanfilms.com, and that's MAKAZAN, or it's my full name, Paige Morrow Kimball @gmail. Sorry, I just gave my email address. Do not email me. Okay, PaigeMorrowKimball.com. What else?
And when is your film being shown?
Well, it's playing again at Sedona on Thursday at, I think, 4:40. It's playing with the Cabbage Patch feature. It opens for that. And then we're going on to a couple more festivals, and hopefully we'll have some good distribution news for you.
Awesome.
Yes,
I can't wait to hear. You'll have to keep in touch with me and let me know.
I certainly will. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. What
Yes.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I've had such a good time.
Thank you. And don't forget to follow us in hashtag Sedona Film Fest 23 and hashtag SIFF23. We will be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.